Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing good. In today's video, I will be explaining about the basic concepts of JavaScript and after the brief introduction of JavaScript, I will be going to give you some examples against each topic. So we will do some exercises as well, and we will have some uh, deep knowledge about each topic. So first of all, why do we need JavaScript in web development? So for any web development project, we actually need three basic technologies, or you can say three languages, and these are the uh, main, you can say, building blocks of any website. So first of all, we talk about HTML, and then CSS, and finally we have to learn JavaScript as well. So HTML is actually to make the layout of the page. We can make some structures, basic structures using textual elements, and then we can upload some media files as well. But finally we have to make the next step is to make that page optimal, or it should be attractive for the audience. For that purpose we need CSS. So CSS is actually cascade style sheet. So with the name you can understand that styling, it is used for styling the web pages. And finally, if we want to add some functionalities on our pages, then we have to add the functionality with the help of JavaScript. So these are three technologies we can use, or languages we can use, to build our fully responsive websites. Okay, so in today's video I will be explaining about JavaScript especially, and we will try to cover some basic concept, and then I will give you some examples as well. So first of all, in any programming language we actually deal with some variables. So variables are the, you can say, containers where we can store some values, and we can use these values inside our program. So let's just start the this is the timeline of this video. First of all, I will be talking about introduction, then numbers, strings and booleans. These are all different data types. Then we will talk about control flow, how we can implement if else structure, and then we can also use loops in JavaScript as any other programming language. And then we will cover functions, and lastly we will see scope of variables or functions. So these are the basic topics we are going to cover today. So starting with the numbers and strings and booleans, these are all the data types. So I will start with Visual Studio Code. So I'm using Visual Studio Code for coding or for the exercises. I will delete these files. So I will run all the files from scratch. So this is my folder, working directory, where I am uploading all the files. And first of all we need to create one JavaScript file. So I will name it as hello world.js. So you can see the extension is JS, that means JavaScript. Hit enter and it will, Visual Studio Code will automatically detect the syntax of the language we are going to write the code. So for JavaScript we can declare variables with three variations. One is var, that can be a variable. We can store the variable like this one. The next option is we can also store a variable with let option. Let x is equal to 20 or 30. And the third option is const. So we can also use this value or this functionality to declare variables. Okay, for example, I will name it as const is equal to, we have to declare the name as well, so const name is equal to, as this is a string, so I am putting quotations for this value. Okay, so these are three values to store variables. Okay, for putting comments we can use backslash, double backslash, and we can write comment as variables, and you can store variables with three options: variable, let, or constant. Okay, so this is the method of creating variables. So for example, I will create one simple program here, and then I will connect this JavaScript file with my HTML file. So for example, constant, there is a variable monthly rent. I want to calculate yearly rent for a scenario. So for example, monthly rent is 500 and I want to calculate the yearly rent. So I will create another variable where I will store this value yearly rent is equal to, so yearly rent will be 12 multiplied by 500, and you can save this value inside yearly rent. So this is the value, this is the variable where I am storing the value of yearly rent. And how to output this value? So for printing some values in console, for JavaScript we use console.log, and we can provide the value here, that is yearly rent. So now this file is ready. We have created one simple program that is calculating the yearly rent for any scenario. So now I will create one HTML file. So click here and I will write first dot HTML and hit enter. Now shift exclamation mark, hit enter, and it will create the structure of web page. So I will just write JavaScript tutorial, and here I will write h1 JavaScript, and now I will connect this JavaScript file with my HTML files. For this we actually use script function, script tag. So inside this script tag I will provide the source. What is the source? Source will be the name of this file. So this will be hello world.js, and then save this file. Now this file is actually connected with JS file. So how to check the output now? So right click on this one, show in browser, run this file, and you can see I can only see h1 here. So I want to see where is my yearly rent value. So right click on this page. By the way, keep this in mind that all the console outputs will be appeared in console of the web browser. So go to inspect option, and here you need to go to console, and here you will be getting the value. So right now the value is not appeared here, so we have to see what is the error in our code. So this is hello world.js, this one is correct, and this one is monthly rent, yearly rent, console.log, monthly rent, yearly rent. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, so we have to instead of 500 here we have to provide the monthly rent. So we have saved monthly rent in this value, in this variable. So save this and go to the output again, refresh this, and you can see the value is there in the console. Okay, so we can see this value appearing here, and you can see the JS file is also connected. So this is one example how you can create variables and how you can perform basic arithmetic operations. So now as this file is connected, so I will be removing the code again and again and adding the new concept here. Okay, so let's see how we can add strings or how we can play with strings in the JavaScript. So for example, I will create one string const name. I will write my name here, and by the way, at the end of each JavaScript line you have to put semicolon and then console.log, and here I will need to provide the variable. Okay, save this file. As this file is already connected with this HTML file, so I will run this again. Go to inspect and console, and you can see the output is there, my name is there. So this is how you can play with strings. It will work with single quotation as well, so it does not matter you are providing double quotation or single quotation, it will work with the both ones. So save this one and rerun this file, and you can see the option is still there. Okay, so this is one example. Now I will write one sentence. I will create two variables. So for example, this is, let's remove this one. Now I am also talking about strings. So const first name is equal to Usman, and const last name is equal to Ahmed. Okay, semicolon, we forgot this. Okay, and now we will create one greetings, or you can say a sentence from these two variables. So how to do that? We will create another variable, we will store the sentence there, sentence. Okay, and here I will write hello and plus first name plus, there should be some space, so you can add some space with double quotation, then again plus. So it is actually concatenating all these variables, last name and then again plus, and then I will write how are you. Okay, so we can write like this and put semicolon here. Okay, now I will print this value. How to print this one? So again, we, for printing something in console, we actually use console.log, console.log and sentence. So see how this is working. Save this and run that file again, because this file is already connected with this one. Show in browser. I will close this one and go to inspect console, and you can see hello Usman Ahmed, how are you. Okay, so why it is not detecting the white spaces here? Okay, let's see if this helps. save this and refresh this again. This is not adding, so we have to add. Okay, now we will run this. You can see now it is working. So hello, and then we can write some space here and then space here as well. Save this, and now it is fine. You can see now it is written perfectly fine, and this is working. So this is how you can concatenate different strings, right? So we have created two variables, and then we have used plus function or plus operator to concatenate, or you can say connect all these variables together. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Okay, so now we will move towards the next data structure, that is Boolean. So Boolean is actually the value that data structure or data type that is having two values. Okay, either yes or either no. It can be 0 or 1. It can be you can say on or off. Like it will be having only two options, 0 or 1, yes or no, true or false, on and off. These are all Boolean types. So we actually use these when we have only the situations where we are dealing with two options, right? So for example, I will create one simple program const with this is variable, and for example I will write sky is blue is equal to true. Okay, so if I will write, and so now you can see if else will also be implemented. So if else is actually a controlling structure that can be used to control the sequence of the or flow of the program. So for example, if there are some conditions and you want to test those conditions, so we can apply if else, nested if else, and then we can also use switch statement as well. Okay, so for example, if I have given the sky is blue as true value, so if sky is blue, and what should it print? It should print console.log the sky is blue, right? And what is the other option? So if the condition is false, what it should do, it should console.log the sky is not blue. Okay, so these are the two conditions. In this case, our program will run and it will print this statement, and the reason is because the value of sky is blue is true, right? So if sky is blue is true, then this statement will be running and the else statement will be ignored. Okay, so let's run this statement. This file is connected. Open in browser, open inspect, go to console, refresh this. This is still printing the last one. I think it is not saved. We have not saved this one. Save this, and now rerun this file, and you can see the sky is blue because we have given the condition that is true. So if I make this one as false, let's see what it should print. False. Okay, save this, and now you can see if the condition is false, it will print else statement, that is sky is not blue. Okay, that is how Boolean values are actually working, and this is also the mechanism, or you can say concept, of if else as well, although we are going to see more examples of if else as well. So I hope this one is helpful. So we can write another problem, another scenario. So for example, if for example 2 plus 2 is equal to, so for example if I write 3 equal lines 4, and what should be message here, console.log. So the mathematics principle is true. Okay, and else, what should be the else statement, console.log. So this is not logical. Okay, so what should it run? So the purpose of this statement here is that 3 equals are actually assigning the value, or it is not assigning the value. 1 equal is actually assigning the value, and 3 equals are actually comparing the both values at left hand side and right hand side. So for example 2 plus 2, the value is 4, and it will compare the value at the right hand side. So in this case the condition is true. Let's run this file, browser, inspect, console, and the mathematics principle is true. So it is actually comparing both the values. Okay, so this is actually comparison operator, so you can use this in your code. Okay, so we have, so far we have done variables, strings, and boolean values. Okay, so now we will talk about some loops, how we can run loops, or how we can run multiple lines of code with some statements. Okay, we have also covered if else as well. If there are more than 2 conditions, we can also use else if. Okay, so we can also use else if for more than 2 conditions. So I will remove this one, this code. If else is done. So now we will talk about loops. So mainly we use 2 types of loops, for loops and while loop. So then we will move toward the functions. So let's talk about the loops first. Why do we need loops? So for example, if you want to in a scenario where there are 50 students, and you want to calculate, or you want to print the name of 50 students one by one. So the one method is that you have to write 50 lines of code, and that will be console, or you have to create 50 variables where you will be storing the names of the students, and then you can use console statement to give the values in the output. But the other option is that you can just create one loop, and that loop will be running the values. It will check the condition, and if the condition is true, it will automatically print the next statement. So that is very effective, and then we are going to see that how we can implement that. So for example, I want to print the number of friends in my party. So friends at party is equal to 0. Okay, so if friends are coming one by one, so what I will do, I will add one value, or I will increment the value one by one, right? So if there are 10 friends at my party, so I have to run this line of code 10 times. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10, and then I will print the final value, friends at party. Okay, so one option is this. So if I save this code, go to run this one and inspect console, and you can see the value is 10 here. Okay, so this is one solution. When you can see the number of lines are, we are starting from 6, so the number of lines are around 15. So we can avoid this situation, and you will see with just 3 to 4 lines of code we will write the same program with using for while loop. Okay, so while loop, how we are going to write that? While is actually, I will write one variable, let's friends at party is equal to 0. So right now, as I have already created this variable, so I have to remove this program here, otherwise it will not let me do that. And then while friends at party is less than 10, what should it do? It should friends at party is equal to +1. Okay, so once this condition is true, the statements inside these curly brackets will be executing, will keep executing. So console.log friends at party and then semicolon. Save this and go to this file, run this file, inspect code, and you can see again the output is same. And you can see how effective is this, that we can, with only 4 or 5 lines of code, we have implemented this. And this is the advantage of using loops. That is how loops can help us. Okay, so this is very effective. We can also implement for loop for same situation. So how we are going to do that? For I will change this into for loop. So for loop, how we are going to implement? For I, for let I, it can be any variable, is equal to 0. I'm starting from 0, and I should be less than or equal to 10, and I plus plus. It means it is incrementing the value after each iteration. Okay, so friends at party plus plus, so it is also adding the value. So the purpose of friends at party plus plus is similar like friends is equal to friends party plus 1. So save this, and now I will write console.log friends at party and save this file. Go to your HTML file, run this file, inspect console, and you can see this one is executing the value. So this is very effective that you can run or you can apply for loops or while loops to shorten the length of the code as well, and you can also implement complex statements with just few, or complex scenarios with just few lines of code. So this is how loops are actually working. Then now we have to move towards the next topic, and that is, we have done control flow, we have done loops. Now we will talk about functions. So functions are very interesting part of the any programming language. So a function is actually a bit of reusable code, and just like we actually use CSS and we actually reuse the properties of CSS and reuse the properties of tags of HTML, similarly we can create some functions and we can reuse them, right? So first of all, let's create some functions. So we are now talking about function. So for example, to create functions, first of all I have to write the keyword function and then the name of the function. That is very important. So for example, I'm writing one function to add two values. Okay, add two numbers. So this is a function. Then I have to provide the number of arguments. As I'm working with two numbers here, so I will provide two values, num1 and num2. Okay, and then I will write one statement, return num1 plus num2 semicolon, and save this. So this is a function definition, that this is what this function is going to do. We have function keyword, and then we have the name of the function. It can be anything as per your requirement, but make sure that it is making sense. It should be understandable for the reader that what this function is going to do. And then number of arguments we are providing. Right now I will be adding two numbers with the help of this function, so I'm providing two arguments here. If you want to create a function for three values to add three numbers, you have to provide three arguments here. So let's call this function. So this is function definition. Now I will call this function. So to save the result, or to save the output of this, I will create one variable, result is equal to add. Now I will call this function and I will write two numbers here, 7. Okay, so this is the function call. This is actually the function call. So once this is invoked, this will go to this part and it will execute num1 and num2, and this return statement will send this, the result of these, and num1 and num2 back to this add two numbers function. And when it is coming back to this value, it will store that in result. And now I can print that with the help of console.log result and semicolon. Save this one, go back to your HTML file, run this, go to your console. You can see the result is there, 30. So this is how your function is actually working. Similarly, you can just modify this function or you can create new function. So this is function definition, and this is function call, and this is how we are going to print the values. I hope this is helpful. Okay, I will be moving towards the next thing. So for example, I want to create a function to greet someone, or um, to print the address of some person, of any person. For example, const, I will create variable my home city is equal to um, Islamabad, and I will create another const my home state is equal to federal territory I'm not getting these spellings, territory or federal capital. Okay, semicolon, and then const my home country is equal to Pakistan. Okay, so I will create one function with the name keyword function, and I will create one address. I will name it as address. So first of all, it will be 3 arguments: city, state and country. So it will work for 3 arguments, and console.log. So backtick you or from. So first of all, I will write $sign city and then comma dollar state and then again comma $sign, and we will write country. And so for some reason this one is not working. Yeah, we have to put the other backtick after this one. So now it should work. Save this. So now I will call this function address. So I will print my home city and then my state, because it is accepting 3 arguments, and my home country, semicolon. Save this, run this file, inspect console, and you can see it is printing you are from Islamabad, federal capital, Pakistan. Okay, so this is how you can implement functions in string values. Okay, I hope this is helpful. We have created 3 variables, and then these are actually string variables. So we are actually storing string values, and then we have created one function with the name address, and we are providing 3 arguments to this function: city, state and country, and then we are using console.log, and this backtick is actually when we are going to use the arguments inside the function. Okay, so that is a unique part of this function, and then we can call this function with the parameters we have defined, or the values or variables we have defined. I hope this is helpful. Okay, So let's move towards the next part, that is what is the next part here? The next part is scope of the function. So there are two types of you can say scopes. One is global function or global variable or local variable. So global variables are those variables, or global functions are those functions that can be accessed anywhere inside your code, because with the name you can understand that global means it can be accessed anywhere inside your program, but local variables can only be accessed inside that specific function where those variables are actually defined. So this is very important as per the aspect of variables when we are going to define them. So this is the matter of the fact that when you are going to declare these values, you have to be very careful that if you want to use that variable in different functions inside the program, so try to make that as a global variable, and if you want to use that variable inside a specific function, then you just keep inside, or you just declare that variable inside that specific function. Okay, I hope this will be helpful for you. These are just the basic concepts of JavaScript and how we can implement the basic structure or basic concepts of JavaScript, and how we can connect JavaScript file with HTML file. I will create another video where we'll be covering some other aspects of JavaScript, and I will be covering some built-ins, objects, contexts, and arrays as well. So this is it from this video. I hope you will learn from this video, and please take good care of yourself and try to practice as much as you can. And also, if you find this video helpful, please like this and also subscribe to this channel so I can make some very useful videos for you in the future as well. Thank you so much and take care.